Started today. Of course, we always want to make sure that we start off and letting people know what's going on or any updates we got going on in the community or any election day. So, Joe, you starting off with you. What you got going on in your world?
Early voting going on for fourth Senate district. If you are in Lena Taylor's former Senator Lena Taylor's Senate district, you can early vote right now. And we'll go over that a little bit later. I'll have the locations where you can vote. But yeah, getting geared up for the election. We got another election coming up in August, so uh, just to be voter aware, and this is a great time to study your candidates and know the issues and know what's on the ballot. And I just looked today at myvote.wi.gov,
Hmm.
and you can check out your ballot. So I entered my address, could check out what would be on my ballot. So go on and check it out.
Cool. I appreciate that. How about you, Latoya? What you got going on this week and what's going on in your world?
Oh, this is a pretty good week for us. We're gonna be connecting with our partners, seeing what events and what things they got going on this summer, and making sure that we stay engaged and involved with our community.
I did see a couple of our partners on the parade route when I started getting disconnected from y'all. Yeah, somebody gave me a big bag of candy and I was running down the street getting chased with people, and everybody's grandma kept stopping me asking for some candy. So I had one of those experiences, and then I ran into punchers or pink punchers, which is Kashima. I ran
Yeah.
into her and her family, her beautiful family, and her grandkids. Fathers Making Progress was definitely in the building. You know, they're gonna be somewhere close. And I also ran into Purpose Driven Sisters. They were underneath. They had a tent right off the corner as well. So our Souls to the
Those
Poles
to the
was right
poles
next
was
to us
right
as
in front
well.
of us,
Yeah, yeah.
and they love drop top. I like that.
What was that? A drop Mazda or something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, like a 1990 Mazda. But yeah, he was definitely, and there was no rust on that bad boy. Like most of the cars I was up there. I do love during our Juneteenth, we our people show off their cars, their vehicles, and things of that nature. So thank y'all for making us look so good, and everybody was showing love. I had people reaching out outside the city that lived in other states, and that they showed little flashes of other cities Juneteenth celebrations, and Milwaukee's again was the standout. I've seen pictures from Dallas. I've seen pictures from even the other ones that they say are long standing, like Galveston, and Los Angeles had Kendrick Lamar's concert. He had the big concert, the Juneteenth concert down there, and he been going destroying Drake in the lyrical form. So he topped it off with a concert and played Not Like Us 6 times. For all the older people who ain't heard Not Like Us, it might be kind of hard because it's everywhere. But if not, look up Kendrick Lamar's Not Like Us and you'll enjoy that too. So Juneteenth is special all across the board. Milwaukee, we just, we just got put on the map every year. I think it's getting bigger and bigger recognition as far as the our festival and our parade. So what else do we
I
got
got a
going on?
question. I got a question. I got a question.
I was waiting for you to ask it too. It's about Tamika.
No.
What's that?
uh, how do people feel? And if we can get some callers on this, 414-444-5250. How do people feel about throwing out candy to the spectators on the parade? Because we
uh,
have mixed feelings.
and we was look. I had my little
Some people
words
was
too.
happy, and some people was like, "Don't throw no candy at me."
I was just trying to run up and hand them to him. That was my problem. I was running up trying to hand them to him. Your arm getting snatched off. And
I'll tell you what, if y'all
Then
want to
you
throw
get-
candy, you can throw it in my direction at any time. I'll be more than happy
And
to
then
take it off
check
your
this
hands.
out. You try to give them like one or two pieces because you're trying to get the kids and all that. They like,
Man, them
I want to
adults wanted
grab
the
a
candy.
whole. They trying to grab a whole handful
Didn't
of
I
it.
hear somebody say that we need to get more adult candy?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Candy for adults next year.
yeah.
That was
Who's
hello.
speaking?
Hello, everyone.
Speaking.
This is Tamika. I was just trying to let the team do their thing, But I got a big mouth, so I had to open up it every once in a while. But what I did at some point when I was giving out candy at the parade was I was like, now this is for the grown and sexy people, and then I give them some candy or I give them one of our T-shirts, and they seem to appreciate it. But there were some people who were, let's just be realistic, and I want to say this because, and I might get backlash from this, but these organizations, I think we spent about $300 $400 on candy, and I know, like, City of Glendale, I know, spent 500 on candy. I know these people are spending anywhere between $100 to $300 on candy, and they still, man, it's like it's hundreds of, and some of these people got candy that's gonna last them until
Mhm.
To trick or
Halloween.
treat.
Yeah, that's gonna last until Halloween. Um, I don't know. I personally like throwing the candy out, and the thing is, it's a technique. Now we're not trying to throw it up in the air so somebody gets hit, but literally, some of these people just slide it, and they're all covered. But I know what they're doing. They don't want people to get hurt with by the candy, and they
Shoot
don't
the
want their
candy at 'em, they
candy
hitting 'em.
right, or they don't want the candy on the ground, but they're wrapped. Most of this candy at least the stuff that we give out are all
So
wrapped.
my suggestion is we should get some tiny bags like this, put a little bit in there, and toss them out at
But that's what we tried to do last time, and it did not work because
Man.
it did not work. We remember
Yeah, that's true.
Nicole spent hours.
Yeah.
Our manager of operations spent hours, not last year, the year before, bagging up those pieces of candy in little bags, and we had probably 600-700. But guess what? It wasn't enough, so we had to bust those bags open.
Yeah.
It was. You asked for a caller, and you got a caller.
Caller, you on the air.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Long time no talk with.
Hold on. Before you
Wait.
talk, wait a minute. Now, Friday, I think it was myself, Brian, and were you
No,
here?
I
No, it was
wasn't here.
Brian and myself on Friday. Last Tuesday, it was Joe, Brian, and myself. Hold on, I ain't finished.
Look, I got to get down there to meet everybody. But see,
Yesterday, wait a minute. Yesterday it was myself and Brian, and you ain't called one time. Now Latoya get back on, and all of a sudden you calling again.
Well, come on now. You know I love all of you. But
Yeah,
We love you too.
you don't know, but you never say Joe's name. You only call when Latoya here. I don't know. I think Latoya, you might have a fan.
That's okay.
Well, she does, but you do too. But I mean, you can't be hating. You got to.
Don't hate. There you go. Tell her. Don't hate.
Go around everybody. but yeah. So like I said to Mr. Rideout, wonderful day to everybody. Good morning, late morning, early afternoon.
I'll let you talk. I'm gonna go in the corner and cry a little bit. I'll let you talk though.
Well, no, don't do that. Well, I was just gonna say, your candies, well on the eve of the NBA draft tomorrow, hoping that the Beauchamp and Giannis and them can get some of these young legs like Mr. Northwestern himself, Boo Booey, over there at Northwestern, Boo Booey,
Mm-hmm.
and some of these other young guys. Colin.
Why you giggling, Mr. Rideout?
Did nobody give his mother the name book? So Boo Boo. We'll be laughing while he's making 3-pointers, though.
All right. I hope we do.
But anyway, yeah, I hope he goes. He did some damage to the Badgers there, so it's interesting to see. So hopefully it'll be a good draft for all the young men that are coming out.
Yeah,
but
hopefully.
I was just gonna say for your candies there, somebody had said something like the Jolly Ranchers and the Now Later, something like that there that's not going to give in to the heat so much. Or, some of these, maybe the small packs of gummy bears that are within their little contained plastics there, or maybe.
That's exactly what we gave. We gave Skittles.
Right. Yeah.
We gave all the things that were individually
rolls,
wrapped.
things like that that are individually wrapped. Yeah. So, but yeah, I'm glad everybody had a wonderful time there.
But let me ask you, how do you feel about if you was a spectator on the side and we're in the cars riding in the parade and we throw the candy at you? How you feel about that?
If it's like I said, if somebody could do some. I know it's a lot of people there, and that's a lot of sandwich bags. But you want to put something like anywhere from 10 to 20 pieces like in a sandwich bag, and just toss out the sandwich bags. Because once stuff start hitting the ground and stuff, where people done spit and stuff and walking and everything, it's pretty nasty and dangerous then, for your health.
Okay,
I
so
get
we
it.
gonna start doing it per family.
Well, yeah, you can put like 15 to 20 pieces
Are
in
you
a
all all
bag and toss
together?
them
They
out.
got 10 kids. Well,
You
y'all
know,
all
and if
together.
they
Here's
if they walking around with pockets full of sandwich bags, you know where you got a whole bunch of candy. You got to get ready for the main dish like the
one of
fish
the
sandwiches and the turkey legs and things like that.
Yeah.
well, the one thing that we will try to do is have more. Hopefully, we'll have more volunteers to actually to get get the candy to the people. I was so depressed and sad because our fire truck went to fire truck heaven, and that would have helped a lot with what we were doing or trying to do, but we had to, scamper a whole bunch of volunteers. Thank you, canvassers of Wisconsin Voices, for helping out. Um, Technically, it's not y'all job, but y'all stepped up and helped out a lot during that. Oh Lord.
I mean, it was so hot out there.
Mm-hmm.
If I was
Okay,
out there,
no. I'm stopping people because I could have swore just 2 weeks ago
uh-huh.
people were, it's raining, it's cold, it's that. Now you got hot. Now it's like, oh, it's too hot.
Well, I mean, for me,
Be in that heat that day, I'm with you, Jermaine.
Now,
I was about
what
to
I'm
pass
saying
out.
is,
Like,
now-
whoa, Jesus.
y'all throwing candy was a great thing, but for me, I'd have been selfish. Like, man, throw me some ice cream.
Actually,
Throw me a
Senator
bucket
Taylor or Judge Taylor,
A blue
when
bunny
she
or something.
when Judge Taylor
For real.
when Senator Taylor was Senator Taylor, she would do uh freeze pops.
Yeah.
And she would get thousands of freeze pops. Trust me, how I know, because half of those freeze pops were in my freezer at times. But and then she would give out the freeze pop, and that was a really good thing. But we do freeze pops one year or something to take up her mantle. But
Throw some water at me.
Yeah.
Ice water.
They would have went over really well that day.
especially with the fire truck, if we could have had the fire truck pouring the water, yeah, we would have got
The
my
water on
hair.
them, like,
Oh please, that my hair would have been. So let's get back to civic
that, take that, take that.
engagement, because we all love our community, and civic engagement means different to different people. So we talk about politics, we talk about what's going on in the community, but we also talk about things that should be changed in our community or things that we need to be aware of in our community, because it's all civic engagement to
Yes.
at least to Wisconsin Voices and how we look at it. Because if we can fix the political realm and get people that will represent us, that's one part of it. But then we need to have the community banding together, doing what we can do.
Knowing
That's
what
an-
everybody wants.
Exactly. That's another part of it. Teaching advocacy, doing the stuff that we do, that's another part of it. And we are
Mhm.
all trying to put this in an umbrella for Wisconsin Voices. So with that being said, anybody going to the Market Street tomorrow? On what's here on
The
the
night market.
yeah, the night market.
I'm definitely going to be there.
Oh, I
It's right
forgot
down in my
Joe.
neighborhood, so
He's new to us.
Yeah, I had plans to go down there, but I guess now I'm working it.
Oh yes, we will be assisting people to register to vote as we walk down there. So if you are down there and you see somebody with a Wisconsin Voices either badge
Great.
or a T-shirt, walk up to them and say, "Hey, can you help me register to vote?" And you know what they will say? Why, certainly. Yes, that is.
It depends on where you live.
Actually, yeah, it's actually there's some information
Yeah.
about that. That's um, you know what, people, we love our community, and sometimes they make laws that hinder stuff. Sometimes on purpose, sometimes accidentally. Just
Mhm.
accidentally said, oh well, this is causing us issues. So just make sure you know where you are, if you can register online or through mail. And anybody in the Senate district cannot register online or by mail until the 3rd of July, and then you have a window from July 3rd to the 10th that you can. And then the CD can't go from the 11th through all the way to the rest of
the election
until after the
in
election on the
August.
14th. Now, the rest of the people that are not in the 4th Senate District can register to vote up until the 19th of July. It's a lot to learn and a lot to do, but
Mhm.
that's why we're here. We're here to give you information, and that's what we try to do.
Right.
I was reading something yesterday. I think it was yesterday or the day before, and it was talking about the great power of the black vote and the great
Mhm.
power, and this was speaking of Wisconsin in itself. Like, if every registered or every person of color that is eligible to vote just actually voted, it changed the dynamic of we decide, the people in the Milwaukee County area decide
Mhm.
who is, at least on the statewide races or even the county races. If every eligible voter voted in Milwaukee, they would decide what even happens on a county level. um right now, some of the suburbs are deciding on the county level what's happening, or the state level, because they have so many voters who register and who actually go out. So even though it might be your representative in the Milwaukee area, but it's up to like people like this Senate race. If Milwaukee does not come out to say who they want, it's going to be decided by Glendale and Shorewood, because they have such a high turnout, even on low turnout wards. Like, I'm going to vote today. I'm doing a early vote. Early vote. Anybody who's gonna be with me early vote today? Who's in the Senate district? There are some. Please look on these candidates' websites, because I think they have some
Mhm.
events going on. I think Dora Drake has some events going on. Lakeisha Myers has events going on today and tomorrow and the next couple of days. Go out there and see them. See what they're talking about.
Look at their platform. A lot of
Look
them will
at-
have their platform right on their website.
Right. Actually, do the research. They been working well.
Yeah, because these both are two very likable, respected
Well
representatives,
qualified.
well qualified representatives in the community. So you got to really decide who you want. I know who I'm picking, but you just decide who
And
you
you're
want.
gonna keep. Are you in the 4th now?
Oh yeah, I still am. I should be.
No, I don't think so, Missy. You moved. You ain't
Yeah.
with us at
Yes,
Crew
I
no more.
am. Where it go up? Don't it go all the way up Capitol?
It stops at. It depends on where you are on Capitol, but it mostly stops at 35th.
Oh, okay. No, I probably ain't there.
Well, we have to see. She don't even know who her representatives are. Wisconsin
And you
Voices
can
staff.
go to my
No, that's because I just moved.
I know you
and I'm
just-
gonna say it
You
again,
moved
Joe.
more than 28 days ago, though. So
And if
Say it
someone out
again,
there
Joe.
has recently moved, you can go to myvote.wi.gov and you can type in your new address and it'll show you all the information you need to know, your ballot, where to
Thank
vote.
you.
whatever. I'm caller. We
Thank
got a
you.
caller. Hello, caller. Caller.
Hello.
Hello.
Say good morning to you guys. Good early afternoon to you. Listen, Dora Drake has. I'll be totally honest with you. I've watched her, and I've watched Kalen Haywood Jr. And to be totally honest with you, if you check their records, they did absolutely nothing. Little Kalen then turned into a little politician, and he don't hardly want to talk to you. He got his, his arrogant vest on. This Drake lady, she's done really nothing. At least Rep Myers will try and pick the torch up from, that the last person in that seat was carrying. And believe me, it was a bright torch that lady was carrying. Even when the flame started to dim, she would some kind of way kindle the flame and it would burn again. We're talking about the last person that was in that office. And if you don't have that kind of mentality then really you're not really qualified to me to be in that position. Drake doesn't have that fire like that. She has the Becky. She's the Becky black girl. You know, she's not finna fight like hell and come back here and tell us, hey, y'all, this is what they finna do. This is what y'all better do. Y'all better watch this move that's coming down the line. This is what the Democrats finna do. This is what the Republicans is offering. She's not gonna do that. What she's gonna do is find the best avenue to be comfortable with the people there, forgetting that we the people sent her butt there to fight. She'll get in line with them, and forgetting that this was not a job that she was hired to do. It was a job that she was actually voted in to do. So I think Rep Myers would probably be best for that position. Uh, Drake is not. She's too Becky for me. Same with Kalen Haywood Jr. He kind of, baby acting when it's me and you, but he get right up there and put that doggone Tom's best on, and he ain't gonna rule in our favor, do nothing to make some hell, bring a press conference and talk to the people. So I gotta get out of here, but I appreciate the few
Well,
minutes of fame.
thank you. And I
Thank you.
want to remind our listeners that that is the views and opinions
Of our
of our
viewers.
callers and our guests are not the views and opinions of WNOV or Wisconsin Voices. Um, we don't endorse anyone, but that was his opinion, calling in for his opinion and
And
what
that
he
was
thought.
And
Thoughtful
Um,
opinion.
and
So,
I
it
mean,
sounds like he did his research.
Search,
I
yeah.
mean, he checked
well,
out
who
both.
he's
Can-
coming
we're
the
not saying
candidates.
he did his research or not. It's just his
Just-
opinion.
right.
but
It's
you
what he's comfortable with.
Yes.
exactly.
And that's what we want to
ask
hear
people to do.
from. Yeah,
That's
that's
what we're
what we
asking
want to hear
folks
from
to
our
do.
viewers. If anybody wants to rep Dora Drake, please call in 414-444-5250. We want to hear from the community because that's how our entire community get a perspective of how each other feels about.
um, and the views and opinions of
Of our listeners.
I have I have my own opinions.
We all do.
We all have our own opinions. I was Dora Drake was my representative for 2 years, and then Glenda was moved out, and Darren Madison is now our representative. Actually, Dora won that seat against me when I ran, so she beat me.
Yeah.
So she has to have something, a good quality. And then let's look at Rep Myers, who beat out Fred Kessler, who had been a long-standing member of the assembly. So these people got into their seats beating tough opponents, if I do say so myself. But and now we just have to look at what their work, what they did. And each person
There
knows,
you go.
and each person knows what when they go and look at their records and the track records or whatever. That's what you have to look at. Who's been in the community? Who have you seen? The people who live in their district, because each one of them had been a representative of the fourth CD. So they were a rep under the umbrella of the fourth CD. So they have a base that knows what they did. And that is kind of where their goods will, people will be able to tell them, like, this is what I
They
did.
both served, so they both have a record that you can go back and look and see how they voted on certain issues and say, okay, yeah, that aligns with me or that doesn't, and kind of form your own opinion.
And but not even that. I mean but on top of that, did the people that were in Rep Drake's, did they see her? Were they able to communicate it with her? If the people in Representative Myers, did they see her? Were they able to communicate with her? Those are the litmus tests that we put, and then looking at their record, that they vote on things that I care about.
And did they vote in ways that I can respect and I would be on board with?
Yeah, and that's kind of how you have to go about this. What legislation did they put through? Did they put through legislation that is going to be relevant to me and to my community?
Mm-hmm.
What did they sponsor?
What they sponsor. We're going to take a little bit of break because we are off time, because we just get to talking and we be forgetting about these little breaks we got to take. But we'll be right back with Be a Voice with Wisconsin Voices. If you want to call 414-444-5250 and talk to Miss Bloomingfield. What are you today? Bloomingfield. Be right back. Not say hi to the newest part of the production team at WNOV. We want to give
Yeah.
shout outs to
Mr. Trey, man.
Mr. Trey.
Yeah,
Oh,
you know you
shoot,
gotta
the
show him
third.
love, man.
Come on,
One,
Mr.
two, three,
Trey.
four,
Come say
five,
hi.
six,
Say
seven.
something. Oh, he shot. He said he shot. Oh, that's why he in the background.
Please.
Oh, that's why he in the background. Ah, Mr. Trey. But welcome. We glad to have you. What is that on the boards? Is he kind of on the boards?
On the visual part of the production
Okay.
team. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, great job too.
Making
He's
us
doing a
look
great
good.
Mhm. On which side should the camera be on? This left side or right side? Y'all know y'all can go to Facebook, WNO 860 WNOV, and see what's happening in studio right now. I'm not looking that pretty, but let's talk about. There's a article that was published in the Huffington Post. It was published today, about an hour ago, and the headline is small town, Alabama town wins lawsuit allowing residents to vote for the first time in decades. So let me give you a little, and I'm going through the article. Let me give you a little background of this. For decades, and I'm going to read kind of directly from the article. For decades, while officials appointed New Bern's mayor and common council members in lieu of holding elections, most residents weren't even aware that they were supposed to be electing for these positions. This is just one example of the country's longstanding racist practices that deny Black folks the right to vote. While whites in this town essentially handed down the positions of power to one another throughout the decades, there were never any municipal elections held for mayor or town council. Black folks weren't even told to get on the town council. So basically what they were doing is they were just appointing the white people were appointing people to be the mayor to be, and then there was a duly elected mayor, and he will be reinstated now because as of I think today or yesterday, the settlement was filed on June 21st, and it must still be approved by the U.S. District Judge Christy DuBose. I think her last name is DuBose, DuBose. But the settlement has been reached in the town's voting rights case, allowing New Bern, a prominent Black town with 133 residents, to hold its first legitimate election in more than 60 years.
Wow.
And the town's next election will be in 2025. And you say your vote don't count. There are people, even if it's 133 people in that town, are fighting,
They finna make
doing
some real changes now.
lawsuits to make sure that their vote counts. And we don't have to go through that issue. All we need to do is register and vote, and we're not exercising that right. But let's deep dive into that. Like, how in 2024 is it so blatant?
It's one of those situations where you got these small towns all across the country where you got Black people that are misinformed because they live so back, it's either a backwood or one of them small sundown type of towns, and it might not be a sundown per se, but it may have that same type of energy, and they just keeping, if you stay in your city limits or in your town limits, you don't really like where my granny and her family from, way back in DeKalb, Mississippi. I mean, we went down there in 2018. I felt like the same place when I went down there in 1992. There's no development. My cousins that live down there, they traveled, the ones that are young, my age. But if you staying in a small town like that, and you don't see any systems outside of yours and how things are operated politically, or even when it comes to community, or getting fair services, and whether it's food or housing or whatever, you're gonna think it's normal, and everybody else is dealing with the same thing. And a lot of those small back row, and a lot of people from Milwaukee, we all great migration, second generation, third generation, southern, we all pretty much southern folks with just northern I guess you say with northern
It's Southern
history.
ties that we
What they
live
call
in
it?
the north, but we have Southern ties.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, we all Southern at heart, and we got a lot of family that live deep somewhere that haven't been anywhere outside of out of Mississippi, Alabama. So if they get locked into those situations where they don't see any other systems and progressiveness, I see that's maybe one reason. But it's kind of sad. It's
Like
real sad.
my mother was my mother and grandmother are from Dermont, Arkansas. And it's right by Little Rock, Arkansas. Then my mother or my dad is from Georgia. It's so Dermont. Um But let's go back to this article because this is the funny thing here. This is what I want to read directly from it because this is so it baffles me. So Patrick, I just said that Patrick Braxton will be reinstated. So you're like, wait, you just said that they haven't had a legitimate election in 60 years.
Mhm.
But this is what it is. Braxton was the only candidate who filed qualifying paperwork with the county clerk in 2020. So he won the mayoral race by default. The incumbent, who is Haywood Woody Stokes III, hadn't even filed or even bothered to file the paperwork to run again. But Haywood Stokes Jr., his father, had previously been a mayor of the Black Belt town. After Braxton assumed the office, he faced a whole bunch of obstacles. He discovered the locks to the town hall had been changed and that the town council had held a secret special election in which they simply re-elected themselves. Then they reappointed Stokes of the mayor in 2021. He has been the acting mayor ever since. So what they did was they didn't do what they were supposed to do. They didn't file paperwork. They didn't do anything. So the one person who did the legitimate filing,
Mhm.
nobody else did. So he won by default.
Mhm.
He gets in there. He starts trying to be the mayor. The old common council decides to hold a meeting that he ain't there because the mayor should be there to to run these meetings, and they decided to vote themselves in,
And
change
vote
the
in
law,
son of the old mayor, right?
right? And
As
it
the
was
new
like
mayor.
it was like a it was like
Like
a
it's
a
the
rite of
Godfather
passage,
thing.
yeah.
Right down to the next.
Like it's the Godfather thing. But that ain't funny though. I'm sorry that I'm laughing a little bit. I'm laughing at how
they think they can get away with it.
how arrogant they are. But like going on with what Brian was saying, it's like you living in these small towns because my family migrated from Jackson, Mississippi. We have a state park named after my family. I ain't telling y'all.
Is that the Bloomingfield ones?
Mhm.
Okay.
but you because I know a lot of very highly intelligent political figures that's from Mississippi. So you would be like, how did this whole town not know? But it's the little tedious of each one of these little towns and how they operate. Like you said, they went and held a special election in their own
We're
little
gonna get into
quiet.
that in a minute.
Yeah.
How they did that.
Go ahead, because that's how it really that's how it really happens. Is a lot of these people aren't aware of their actual politics, so they don't know the exact roles, how to implement these roles, what's the responsibilities of these people.
No
and
one is teaching. They don't. Some of these people don't have cable. They don't
Yeah.
have internet. They have phone service, but
Yeah.
if you don't know to ask the questions, how do you
How
know that it's
it?
wrong?
Because you don't
Until
even know
somebody
it.
hears it, and all of a sudden it's like, that ain't right. What do you mean that ain't right?
Like, what you
You
mean?
can't do it that way.
They just appointed
Oh.
for us. We can't vote for our person.
So this is what the article continues to say, and I'm still baffled at this. There was no public notice announcement for the special election, so the majority of the residents didn't even know about it. And that's what the Legal Defense Fund says. This case, and then I'm going to quote you here. This case matters so much because on its face, it sounds so absurd that this could happen, but we see it mirrored in different parts of society all the time.
Mhm.
Um, and then it goes to say, this is from explaining that the dynamic that can lead to the blatant racial disenfranchisement of an entire community, even in this digital era. It's not until we challenge those conditions do we realize how much work is being done from other folks to keep it away.
Mhm.
Um, it, uh, whew.
You could say that last part again.
So it also says that Braxton, who was born in New Bern and describes himself as the handyman of the community, hasn't been able to access the town funds since Stokes was appointed as mayor 4 years ago. So he got appointed 4 years ago during COVID.
Mhm.
He has used his own funds to now this is gonna get me. He has used the mayor that was duly the mayor has used his own funds to provide residents with COVID-19 supplies as well as host food drives and other events. He used his own funds when it
So
should have been
he's
city
literally
funds.
still doing his
He's still trying to
mayoral
be the mayor
job.
and he's doing his mayoral job, even though they have kicked him out, don't give him access to any of the resources that he needs to be the mayor.
To the people that they're not representing.
Oh my goodness.
Just
Because it's got to be to the people they're not
a small
representing.
group of people working really, really hard to keep him out, and it's amazing. To
And it's
me.
not even keeping him out. I don't think.
Or
I
to
think
keep
it's keeping the
himself.
power. Him the
Yeah,
power.
the
Right.
Power
Yeah,
of
right,
that
right.
community.
And then he's quoted to say, moving forward, my plans are trying to keep the community together and not be divided. And then after all of that, he still is trying to make sure that there's not any, divide or segregation, even though he could easily be like, now let's get them out of here. Or he could do something else. It, I
Now that's called election fraud at its finest to me.
that is voter suppression at its
Yes.
finest.
That's a lot of illegal activity. is what it
Where's
is.
where's the masses on that preaches this all the time?
And
like
this has
they
been an
wanna have
article.
it.
I remember seeing that actually. Wasn't he here? Wasn't he the gentleman that spoke at
No.
That was Jackson, Mississippi mayor.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. So there's another one,
Mhm.
but there is so many there's so
Mhm.
much happening, and we who are in Wisconsin, yes, they're trying to suppress our vote, but you can still go vote. There's a lot of people who can vote, and we do not exercise that right. I'm literally going today right before I go home, and I'm taking some time to go and early vote because I know it's I believe this is the last for City of Glendale. Friday is the last day of early voting.
Mhm.
But I hate waiting until the last minute. And I learned my lesson. I I thank people who like to vote on the election day, but I am I really want to make sure my vote counts. And one time I was like, "Oh, I'm out of town, but I'll be back, to vote." And I remember my plane, it was either my plane was delayed or I did not get back in time. And I actually missed one vote in I want to say the 20 years that I've been trying to vote. And I missed it. And it felt like something hurt my heart. It was like, and I wasn't even in this work. I was a regular private citizen, doing the,
Mhm.
just working at
Mhm.
a a private company sector, private company. And it broke my heart. It's like my grandmother, my great grandparents, all those people used to fight for this right.
Mhm.
I know my parents, my mom's parents, they were the Hales. And I think I told y'all the story about the Hales when I went, but they owned acres and acres of land. This man and this woman had 18 kids, 20 altogether. Two, a set of twins, I believe, passed away. 18 kids.
Mhm.
He was one of the very few, and this was back in the 30s, 40s, where he owned a whole lot of land. He survived off of his land. That's how he fed his kids. It wasn't, he wasn't getting a government assistance or anything. He worked his land and fed his family through that. And my mother told me at one point that they used to call him Mr. Hale, even though he was a black man there. And I still find that fascinating. I don't know if she's making that up because I just really can't. During the 30s, 40s, 50s, them calling a black man Mister. But he,
I gotta say something.
go
I
ahead.
got to. My that's another thing. My family down there in Mississippi, my Papa Roy, my family, so 260 acres, and he used to sell timber and do all that. My great grandparents, and that was some of the stories. Like Papa Roy was just like one of those guys where you had to work with the white man down there because he had to sell timber, and my granny and them, they worked off the land. So growing up, you seen like that's that what you saying, that calling a white man, you hear those stories of your great uncles and your great grandparents, having the respect from these white men back in the 30s and the
Yeah.
40s. Even though I did have an uncle, my grandma's brother, that did get killed by some white men back in the 40s down there. But yeah, you still had to respect because they, the white men knew, when just kind of like how it is now, when they need something from you, everything is respectful and everything is cool. And this is Brian's opinion. But outside of that, they don't act like they may not see you. But when you got something to give or you got a service or product that they want, it's yes sir, yes man, and all that stuff, even if they are racist.
And I
That's
want to
kind
say
of
the views and opinions of Brian
that's kind of
Sanders.
crazy because we all got similar backgrounds. Because my great grandfather had 16 grandkids. I mean, 16 kids. God forgive me, 16 kids, and he built Jackson, Mississippi, the little area in Jackson, Mississippi. He was blind, and he built their first church. So, like you said, if you have something to bring to, he was a carpenter, but he was blind. If you don't,
But we can't forget Joe, because Joe might look like he is vanilla, but Joe, you have Middle Eastern background.
Yeah.
So you part of us. You part of the
we
POC
have
people.
history
I mean,
of family.
especially when it gets to be summertime.
Oh,
It can
then it all come
definitely
out.
tell. It can definitely comes out a little bit. So
But and this is not to put any race or pushing any particular race. We're not against anybody. We just
No.
have to uplift our background when right, and it's exactly when we come back. We're gonna talk a little bit more about our kind of like our families, what what made them come here. But this is all in regards to voting, getting out your
'Cause
vote,
that's
making sure
mainly what
community
they
is
told
there.
us.
We will be back. This is Be a Voice with Wisconsin Voices, 860 AM. we were talking about red snapper, and they're like, "Oh, that's still there. It looked too clean for they fish to be good." That's so sad. That's so sad.
Man, it's
We
good
didn't
in
say
there.
you said it. See, you told on
See, you
yourself.
told on yourself. You told
for to be a red snapper or how they
how they
the
used
sushi
to
You
look.
used-
Yeah.
Yeah, you used to. Yeah.
no tables in there.
Yeah.
No, this one.
Like
But they had the
Hey, but
best
they had-
the
catfish.
best fish though.
Listen,
Yeah.
I don't know what
There was
seasoning they
a
used.
there was a fish place over on Burleigh, and it was there for a long time. It's like, I want to say it was between 6th Street and even Titonia.
Mm.
It was somewhere there, and I remember it was
I
a little
promise you, I
small
remember
spot.
that little yellow,
It was a little
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, that's where it was.
Yeah.
7th Street.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
that
get
was
you.
fun.
Come on,
But
we
back
from
to
the hood.
civics,
Yeah,
you know, we
you
you know
better
it's
believe
almost
it.
noon. It's almost noon, so we hungry. But just one of the things that I laugh at my mother, because she talks about her time in Jim Crow, but this woman literally should be dead for some of the things that she did, that she got away with it, maybe because she was a light-skinned black woman, but she never changed the story. She went to do something, and there was two white girl twins, and they made her mad, or they told on her or something. So she went after them, beat one of them up, threw that one in the ditch, and beat the other one up. She should be dead for that, because this man was a prominent person in the community, and then said, "I dare y'all to tell, because I'm gonna tear y'all tail up again." She talks about this. She talks about when she was walking in Arkansas, and she was tired, and she didn't care. She drank out of the white only fountain. I'm like, "Ma, you should be dead." I ain't care. I don't know what she did, and I don't believe she's lying, because it's my mother is she's a
My mother got some of the same stories, especially
right.
with Woodward and all that. They go in there on the counters, all that. They was part of
Jermaine,
that.
you know my mother.
Yeah. Yeah.
She ain't
Yeah.
she ain't gonna take no mess. But
That's true.
I worry. Like I feel worried about what she did back then. And then I realized maybe that's the reason why I am the way I am today. Somehow I am unapologetically Tamika. And some people think I'm mean. Some people think I'm evil. Some people think I'm, God's gift to the world, because they think I'm trying to save the world. And I am trying to do that. I am all of those things wrapped up in one. Sometimes I'm mean. Sometimes I'm super nice. But it's all because of who raised us. The community raised us, our parents, everything got put into us. But at the end of the day, what is the one thing we want to do? Help the people in our community. I want to help the people in our community and help the state of Wisconsin, because that's where I live.
And so let me say this real quick thing about my grandfather. My grandfather owned a lot of land, and he lived next door to a white doctor. And back in the days, in the early 20s, like I told you, my grandfather had 16 kids, 8 boys, 8 girls. So he have his boys man the yard and all that. And his doctor kept putting a fence over some of his apple trees, because he had apple trees. So he would put his fence beyond to take my granddad's land. And my granddad wasn't having it, so he had his boys take the fence down. The doctor gets mad, come to his house with a bunch of his friends with shotguns to tell him, if you take that fence down again, he forgot he had 8 boys. My granddad came out with that shotgun and told him, "Which one of y'all want to go with me?"
But and then the last thing I want to say is that happened. But guess what? All that land that my grandfather had, he had all those kids. They all wanted to come up north because they thought this was the promised land, and none of them took it. And eventually the state of Arkansas took all of it. They gave them residuals for the wood that they cut down, and then eventually it was gone because nobody paid. This is Wisconsin Voices. Be a voice. We are going to continue. We have a special guest on Friday. Tune in. We'll be talking gerrymandering. We're going to talk about voting. We're going to talk about a whole bunch of stuff, but we have a special guest on Friday, and we're celebrating Keon Jackson Malone's birthday.
Woohoo!
See you on Friday.